The next band to perform at the 25th Annual Hanks Jazz Festival is the Belair High School Jazz One Ensemble under the direction of Manny Telemontes. Please enjoy the performance.
Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mr. Manny Talamantes. This is Belair High School Jazz Band 1. Let's give a round of applause again one more time, please. Before we go on, we are the last band on today, so I want to thank Mr. Gomez and all the Hanks band staff for such a great Hanks Jazz Festival that's going on for years. And if it wasn't for them, this wouldn't be happening. So let's give them a round of applause also. That first tune that you just heard was the Steve Brown composition entitled Deep, in honor of the great retired jazz drummer, Danny D'Imperio. I hope I got that right. Okay, Mr. Imperio used to be the drummer for the Woody Herman Band, the Maynard Ferguson Band, and he also substituted for Buddy Rich. So that's why we actually featured our All-Region Jazz first chair drum set player, Mr. Angel Garcia. Dorian Valqueria on guitar. And last but not least, our freshman trombone player, Mr. Jacob Ramos. Our next selection is an Alan Blaylock original composition entitled El Abrazo, and it's translated in English to The Hug. When I was selecting this composition, I came through a Yahoo video, and one band actually did some program notes, and I fell in love with the program notes. We fell in love with the chart. It's just a beautiful chart, and it deals with, the program notes were about the hugs that you receive during your lifetime, which would be your first hug that your mom gives you straight out of the womb, the unconditional love that, the unconditional hug that you get from your first true love when you get married, the unconditional love that you give your first child, and finally, last but not least, the unconditional love hug that you get, the last one, and the one you receive the last time before you go into the great unknown. Ladies and gentlemen, Alan Blaylock's El Abrazo. Hope you enjoy. before I miss anybody. That featured our piano player, Mr. Brian Amaya. Our drum set player, again, once again, Mr. Angel Garcia. Our two saxophonists, Mr. Danny Ibanez on tenor saxophone.
All right.
Mr. Josh Martinez on alto saxophone. And last but not least, our senior bass player, Mr. Richard Guzman. And I'm not going to forget the trombones, okay? I'm not going to forget the trombones. Our freshman trombone player, Mr. Jacob Ramos. And last but not least, Mr. Ricky Marquez on bass trombone. What a beautiful composition, don't you think? It's just, wow, okay, it really hits the heart. Last but not least, before we end our portion of this, I want to thank our student teacher, Mr. Adam Castaneda, who helped us out a lot this year. I want to give him a round of applause, Mr. Castaneda. Thank you so much. Okay. I want to also thank the rest of my assistant directors, Ms. Sarah Candelaria and Mr. James Cordova. Okay, thank you so much for helping us out. And then I also want to thank Mr. Hall, okay, who used to be our student teacher last year, and he comes back and he helps us out. Thank you so much, Mr. Rusty Hall, for helping us out. Our last song is something called by Rick Hirsch. It's something we like to do. It's called the what do we call it, guys? I forget. That's why I wrote me some notes here. We call it the EJP. It's called the Experimental Jazz Project, and it's called Catch Me If You Can. And it's going to feature a bunch of things that you're going to hear along the line, things that you deal with during traffic, okay? And we all know that we deal with a lot of traffic here in El Paso or anywhere in the world that we come from, okay? Traffic is starting to be a big problem. So you're going to hear Mack truck horns. You're going to hear just a huge crash here and there. You're going to hear some things that are like, wow, that's cool. And then at the very end, it's lunchtime. And we're going to start this all over again. Okay? So thank you very much. On behalf of Belair Jazz 1, my name is Mr. Manny Talamantes. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Belair Jazz 1. Rick Hirsch's Catch Me If You Can.
Thank you.
Why, is the battery low? Why? Hope you don't get mad.